right now on Fox 5 News at 5.
Tragedy on a street in Brooklyn. A family will never be the same.
A 9/11 mystery might have been solved as a missing man appeared from the ashes.
And the Olympics in the Big Apple will let you know if we're still in the race. Good evening, I'm John Rowland.
And I'm Linda Schmidt. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're waiting for that big announcement about whether New York has been picked as a finalist to host the Summer Olympics. And as soon as we get that, we'll be bringing it to you.
And of course, we also have the weather and the traffic.
But first, we start with some breaking news from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, where a suspect has been shot by police. Now, we're told he's in critical condition right now. We know that police were called to the corner of Franklin Avenue and Lexington Avenue. Reports were a man had a gun. Now, we've got a reporter on the way to the scene right now, and we will bring you more details as we get them. John?
Well, Linda, a mystery involving 9/11 may finally be solved. For almost a year, the family of a man by the name of George Sims has been trying to find out what happened to him. They think he was working near the Trade Center when the terrorists attacked, but he never came home. Fox 5's Harry Martin picks up a story from there. He's in Newark right now. Harry?
John, some developing issues in this story right now. A family member has just shown up right now. We're going to fill in some of the blanks as we go on with these 90 minutes of news tonight. We'll get more on that in just a moment. But first, let me just tell you that there were some 694 victims from New Jersey in the World Trade Center disaster. There was one person, only one person, who was actually listed as missing, and that was George Sims. Well, he's no longer missing, much to the joy of his family. No one was exactly sure where 46-year-old George Sims was the day of the World Trade Center attacks, but his mother Anna knew that he was somewhere close to the devastation. She feared he was dead, but never gave up hope that he would be found alive.
And then we put off filing for a death certificate for, we said we'll wait a year. And then when we found a missing person report, that's when we found him.
His mother lives here in Newark and reported her 46-year-old son missing after 9/11. She got the good news that her son was alive when a New York City hospital notified her that her son was a patient and was being treated for amnesia and schizophrenia. Mrs. Sims' church never gave up hope.
Naturally, when we found out from the Sims family that her son was missing, our prayers were prayers of condolence and asking God to comfort the family.
And while George did not live with his family here in Newark, neighbors are overjoyed for the Sims.
When you think about the devastation of the situation on the 11th, to find someone that has been found that thought was lost, it was very happy.
Now, just moments ago, Mr. Sims' brother just showed up in front of the house. I talked to him very briefly. We're going to fill in more of the details as what happened to George Sims over the last year from his brother later tonight at 6 o'clock. We're live in Newark. Harry Martin, Fox 5 News. Linda, back to you.
Okay, Harry, thank you. Well, a city cop has been accused of sexual assault, and now he's been suspended from the department. Fox 5's Lisa Evers has the story. She's in Mineola, Long Island right now. Lisa.
And Linda, he's used to arresting criminals himself on the subway as a transit cop, but today that New York City police officer had to go through the system here on Long Island. He's been charged with sodomizing a 21-year-old woman, but it's hard to know what really happened since the details on this story are still very, very sketchy.
It all started around 3 a.m. Monday morning in the backyard of this Levittown house. Nassau County police say a woman was dropped off by a male friend who then left to get gas. Soon after that, police say she claims an off-duty New York City police officer assigned to the Transit Bureau, James Leghart, exposed himself and tried to force her to have oral sex. The woman says another man who was there, John Vallone, asked her for sexual favors. She then called the friend who dropped her off. He came back to get her, and she called police. The Nassau County DA, who declined to comment further on the case, says both men were charged with first-degree sodomy. James Leghart's sister Kimberly declined to talk on camera, but defended her brother, saying he's not guilty and that the situation is not at all what it seems.
The NYPD says that Leghart has been suspended. That's something that happens automatically anytime a police officer is under arrest. Both men will be back in court here in Mineola in 2 days. We're live in Mineola. Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Back to you, John.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Several men in Jersey were arrested. Officials tell us they smuggled women in from Russia and forced them to work in strip clubs. Fox 5's Julie Banderas is in Newark right now with that story for you, Julie.
That's right, John. They're calling it human trafficking. Officials here at the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Newark are saying that 3 people have been accused of allegedly bringing in women from Russia and having them illegally here in the country, also having them dance nude at New Jersey strip clubs. Now, this Russian stripper sting has been going on. It's in the works now since 1999. The women were reportedly told their families would be harmed if they didn't cooperate with the suspects, and the women were each required to pay $1,200 a week to 2 of the suspects. suspects. In turn, they were promised financial security, but they were conned.
But what they did see, and what they were forced to undergo, was as soon as they arrived here in the United States, all of their paperwork, visa, return airplane tickets, passport, was taken from them by the defendants.
Now, two of the suspects are married and naturalized citizens. One of the suspects is Russian. Now, we're told they all live in Brooklyn, and these suspects, one of the suspects claims to have some sort of ties to the Russian mob. However, authorities are still investigating that. We'll have much more coming up at 5:30. We're live in Newark. I'm Julie Banderas, Fox 5 News. Linda, back to you.
Okay, Julie, thank you. Well, a woman was rushed to the hospital after her car slammed into scaffolding. Now, take a look at this. The steel beams almost completely crushed her car. It happened about 10 o'clock this morning on the west side, outside a parking lot on 50th Street and 11th Avenue. Police are investigating. And it is back to work at 300 Madison Avenue. As you might remember, that's the construction site where two workers were killed on Friday. The temporary elevator they were riding on plunged 19 stories. Several others were also injured. Investigators say clamps that held the elevator cab to the scaffolding failed. So far, however, no citations have been issued.
Well, some good news if you're a strap hanger. The 1 and 9 trains will be back on track sooner than expected. Several stops below Chambers Street were completely destroyed on 9/11. They've laid the new tracks now. They'll test them this weekend. The line is scheduled to reopen on September 15th, but the trains won't stop at Cortlandt Street. Maybe in the future. That is still undecided.
Well, New York could still be in the running to host the Summer Olympics in 2012. Word has just come down for us. Fox 5's Len Cannon is here right now with the very latest. Len.
Linda, after months of poring over proposals and being bombarded with multi-million-dollar presentations, the U.S. Olympic Committee just passed down the word just seconds ago from Chicago, narrowing the list of American cities from 4 to 2 cities. New York made the cut. New York and San Francisco have made the cut, have been cut down to the 2 cities that will represent the U.S. Now, here's the thing. The next date that is important is November 3rd. That's when the Olympic Committee will pick either New York or San Francisco to be the U.S. representative that will compete against cities from around the world that will ultimately decide which city will represent the 2012 Olympic Games. The final decision will not be made, by the way, until 2005. But again, it's New York and San Francisco down to the wire. The next big date, November 3rd. Back to you guys.
All right, Len, I'm betting on us. And what does it mean for you if we do host the Summer Games? We'll let you know a little bit later. Linda.
Well, John, the city is continuing its assault tonight on the West Nile virus. Spraying is scheduled for tonight starting at 8:30 on Staten Island in Oakwood Beach and New Dorp Beach. Spraying is also scheduled in Suffolk County in Melville, Long Island. Now, that's where a man who had the virus in his system died. That spraying should take place from about 7 until 11. And more birds have tested positive for the virus in Westchester. Infected birds were found in Briarcliff, Greenburgh, Portchester, Mount Pleasant, and New Rochelle. Infected mosquitoes also turned up in Rye. Health officials there, however, don't plan on spraying, but they say they're going to keep a close eye on the situation.
All right, and you're probably wondering just how safe is this spraying for the West Nile virus? The city swears the pesticide they're using won't hurt you, but they do suggest you turn off your AC and stay inside. A doctor we spoke to says, yeah, that's the right advice, especially when it comes to your kids.
Well, the problem with it mostly is that it's long-lasting and it stays around for a while. And so if you come in contact with it, there is the danger of it interfering with your own nervous system, which it also does for insects. And that's been the big drawback for using it.
Well, the doctor also told us that sunlight breaks down this pesticide, so they have a better chance of killing mosquitoes when they spray at night.
All righty, well, another beautiful day today.
And that it was. And our Fox 5 Weather Authority, Steve Villanueva, is here now with a look at the first forecast.
Yeah, definitely a nice day here in the tri-state area. Hope you enjoyed it because we are expecting a major change over the next 48 hours. All right, with that said, let's go to the maps right now. Pretty nice out there, 84 degrees in Midtowns. The wind is currently out of the east at 7 miles per hour, and we are seeing partly sunny conditions. Across the region, for the most part, everyone is in the 80s. It's 83 at LaGuardia, 82 at Islip, and 82 at Newburgh. For this evening, we're expecting temperatures in the upper 70s to the lower 80s over the next couple of hours with partly cloudy skies. The winds will generally be out of the southeast. On the satellite image, you can see a lot of moisture streaming into the tri-state area, and eventually these clouds will bring us some rain, even some good rain. We're going to talk about that coming up a little bit later in weather.
All right, coming up, forget the cork. When you're tasting wine, there's something a lot more important to consider.
And what's in this building right here could help solve the anthrax mystery.
And what happened on the street in Brooklyn changed the family forever.
I'm Carla Quinn, Fox 5 Traffic Authority. Here's what's happening. There's the Belt Parkway, that westbound side, loading up past JFK Airport. The inbound Lincoln Tunnel building up into a 15-minute wait. If you're coming in at the Holland, you're in good shape. Northbound on the West Side Highway, loaded up getting into the 120s. Two-car accident right near the water treatment plant. And out in New Jersey, northbound 287, a crash at Route 80. More to come in just a few minutes.
Fox 5 Problem Solvers. Call us at 1-877-TEL-FOX5 or log on to fox5ny.com.